Okay, so we'll be getting into this much more when we get to assignment 6, dealing specifically with typography. But I do want to address it early enough that some of the earlier assignments, if you have this to do, you will be able to do it. So whenever you have the type tool, it should be context sensitive, meaning when you click in the appropriate place, the tool should change to the right type tool. But just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and advocate you selecting the type tool. There are two type on a path tools. There's a vertical one and a horizontal one. For this, I'm going to select the horizontal one. And I'm going to go ahead and type some type on a curve. Type on a curve here. And we can repeat that over and over again, or at least twice. Now this type, until we convert it to outlines, behaves just like any other type. So I can select the type tool. I can do the double or triple click to select all the type, and then I can use any of the keystroke combinations to make the type bigger or smaller. So in this case, I'm going to hit Command, Option, Shift, and the greater than symbol to make my type larger. And if I want to do it in smaller increments, there's a keystroke combination for that. Command, Shift, and then less than or greater than to do it in smaller increments. So that's the way the type on the curve tool as far as scaling can be done using some of those keystroke shortcuts. Also, you'll notice whenever you have type on a curve, you'll have a beginning line, you'll have an ending line for this type on a curve, and then you'll have a midpoint line. That's this sort of upside down T. And if you want to grab that upside down T, you can usually, and it's kind of tricky, you got to get right on it, you can move the type on the curve to get it positioned to where you want it to go. You can also do really sort of rudimentary adjustments to your kerning or your tracking. So let's say I want to adjust the word curve here, just this last word curve. I'm going to select, click and drag, and I'm going to use the fingers to hit the modifier keys here, Option, or that would be Alt, I believe, on Windows, and then the left or right arrow will tighten or loosen the tracking. If I want to adjust kerning, in other words, space between just two individual characters, I can put the cursor in between those two characters, and again, I can Option left arrow to tighten it up, or right arrow to space it out a little bit more. We can even, to a certain degree, change the direction that this is on a curve. So if I go back to the arrow tool, and again, I want to click on the midpoint if I can. I'm going to kind of have to find that here. We'll click on this. Usually I see the beginning point and then the ending point here, and I'm looking for my midpoint. I'm going to pull the end point and get it a little closer to the E here. Here it is. Here's the midpoint. I can pull that and drag that to the inside of the curve if I want my type to be on the inside of the curve. And then if I want to have it maybe so not the baseline but the cap line, for those of you that have taken your design concepts classes already, I can do something called a baseline shift. So I'll select this set of type, and I'll come to where the character palette is. And in the character palette, you'll see baseline shift that we can add to stuff. So I can go ahead and do a negative baseline shift on this if I start clicking the negative numbers. And you'll see now that this type is on the outside of the curve. And what that does when I move it to the outside of the curve, by the way, is it's going to mess up the spacing here. So I'm going to want to kind of click inside there and definitely adjust my kerning and my tracking for those items. I hope that helps. There is a lot of flexibility, and we're going to get into it both by watching the Harmer videos, but importantly, folks, by watching some of the Zoom videos that I do to supplement that as somebody who's been working with Illustrator since 1988, its very first incarnation. So please let me know if you have any other questions, and I'm happy to kind of help everyone out with this.